I apologize for being 10 minutes late. We had an important meeting of the town board interviewing two prospective police officers who, as it turned out to be, these young Marines. I was going to say former Marines, but Mary Jane would correct me and say, once a Marine, always a Marine, correct? Yeah, okay. So two nice gentlemen, and I'm sure they're going to work out, and along with another person that will be coming in a week or two. So we'll have our police force up to the limit, and that is a good thing. Is there any public comment on agenda items? Even though there's not much of an agenda. And let me say, is there any public comment on anything? Okay, thank you. I have the minutes of the July 12th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So carried, thank you. Communications, I have a resignation. I will be resigning my job. I will be resigning my job with the Town of Highlands Dial-A-Bus on July the 29th. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the village and the town residents. Respectfully, Brianna Cash. Do I have a motion to accept the resignation?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And with that, this would be, I think, our last part-time dial-a-bus driver, unless Mary Jane knows of someone that may be still staying with us.
His problem is just that he works a lot.
Okay.
But I'm sure when he can, he certainly can.
Okay, excellent. But if there is anyone out there that has the special license to drive a passenger bus, we most certainly would like to hear from you. You can stop into the town hall, you give your resume and application, and we can most certainly use you on the dial-a-bus. But now, if you're a driver and you want to do something for the town, and you'd like to volunteer with the Town of Highlands Ambulance Corps would like to hear from you. We are in need of drivers, and it won't take much of your time, and Jeff will probably yell at me for saying that. It won't take a lot of your time. You'll get a basic training from a member of the ambulance corps. You'll get your uniform. You'll get a shift that you'll be put on, but not before you are fully trained and acceptable to the ambulance corps captain. So if you're a driver and you want to serve your town, serve the people of your town, we really need you in the ambulance corps. Okay. Financial reports, I transferred $80,987 to cover the check run dated July the 15th. The big items are Key Bank, $2,739 for credit card, for the credit card that was used for multiple departments. Wex Bank, $4,534 for fuel consumption on a credit card. Royal Carding, $2,655 for sanitation, landfill charges. Global Monticello Group Corporation, that's where it went to. Let's see now, I'm getting mixed up on this one. For landfill. Okay, Global Monticello Corporation, $2,763 for the sanitation diesel fuel. KS, $10,444 for police car loan payment. O&R Utilities, $4,614 for electric service and delivery for all the departments. Ryder, Wiener and Frankel, $9,032 for legal services. The state comptroller, $11,940 for the May 21st court collected fines and fees. And Rockland County Solid Waste, $14,366 for sanitation landfill charges. And I read all of that without my glasses, that's why I goofed up. Is there any questions on the expenses? Okay, I put in your boxes some transfers, budget transfers. We have the building inspector, 1, personal services, to building deputy consultant, $5,000. That's for Lankin Tully for fire inspections. Workers' comp expense to unemployment insurance, $5,000 to cover the large increase in unemployment expense. Fire and police retirement to unemployment insurance, $1,000 for the same reason. Lease payment interest to lease payment principal, $8,340.28 for interest payment budgeted in principal, to principal in error. Explain.
So there's two components to a lease payment. One is the principal and one is the interest. I budgeted the whole thing to the principal instead of the interest piece to the interest account. So it's just
Okay.
moving between two accounts.
Thank you. Records management training to town clerk training, $150 transferred out, $500 to codification, leaving the accounts short. Seasonal grass cutting to parks and grounds part-time, $4,270 for seasonal highway employee over the budget. Explain that one also.
That was originally budgeted to the 8810 account, which was cemetery, and then when we brought that employee on board, he's actually doing more than just the cemeteries. So it's coming out of parks, buildings, and grounds. So we're just moving the money from one budgeted account to the other.
Okay, any questions on the budget transfers?
No.
Okay, then I'll ask for a motion to approve
So moved.
all of the aforementioned budget transfers.
Richie, you first, I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
So carried, thank you. For liaison reports, start with Councilman Sullivan.
Thank you. Believe it or not, I don't have a lot to say tonight because I didn't have time to prepare the way I normally do. The Zoning Board of Appeals did not meet last month. I believe they will meet next month. Their meetings are on the third Wednesday of the month, and I believe they're still going to be held remotely. I don't think that's going to change for at least another couple of months, if it does at all. I attended the Planning Board meeting, which was on June 15th. Just want to say they're doing a great job. They have a couple things on their plate. They're very thorough. They're well managed. They were pretty well managed. Just it wasn't there. It might have been a little bit better, but they did okay without them. So, in the building department for the month of, let me make sure I have the correct month. For the month of June, there were 13 permit applications received, 13 were issued, 1 certificate of occupancy was issued, 26 building permit inspections, 10 advisory notices were issued, 1 was completed. So that's 9 that are outstanding. That's a back and forth thing that keeps that office busy. 23 municipal searches were completed. 1 zoning variance application was received. That's still being processed. That's why I think they'll meet next month as that goes forward. 3 FOIL requests. 36 total physical inspections were performed. I had a few people ask me, because I, try and give a pretty thorough report at these meetings, about trying too hard to save money in the building department. So when we had Mr. Twirlinger left rather abruptly, we hired somebody that was here for about a month, and then he left, and we interviewed people. We interviewed one person that was number 13 on the civil service list that had never taken a course for a building safety inspector or code enforcement officer because it's not required to take the civil service test. Mr. Hannawald has those things. He's waiting for the civil service to give another test so that he can take it, at which time he'll do just fine. But the other applicants that we canvassed were pathetic, maybe something like that. They're probably watching on TV, but whatever. So the decision was made after that much turmoil and COVID and everything else to utilize a very good consultant that we have. So when people hear me say we're saving money, down at Dunkin' Donuts, there was an escrow for $26,000. Very well done by the planning board. That money was used for the private consultant to inspect. Phil Hannell didn't have to spend a lot of time down there. So I think the process worked on that one. They're open. I'm sure Jim's going to talk about that, and maybe Ty. So I don't want people to think that we're not hiring another person because they're trying to save money. Half of that office is now being done with a private consultant, and there's a little bit of a learning curve there, but I'm very happy with how that office, extremely happy with Philip Hannawald. That kid works his tail off, and he's doing a very good job. So just to clear up any questions about Richie Sullivan trying to save money at the expense of service to the people, that's not what's happening. What else do I have to talk about? The sewer plant. I didn't spend a lot of time down there. The power is in now. I've asked Jimmy to let me know when they're going to fire up that belt press. I hope they didn't do it yet. I think they have some issues, and with the polymer that they're going to use, getting it all together. When they do fire it up, I want to be there. I'll take the day off to video them putting that into operation and keep that in the town records so that we have basically a YouTube type thing to be able to see how to fire that thing up. Looking forward to that. They didn't fire it up yet, did they, Bob?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
But I
I
wouldn't
told
say
Jimmy I'd be on his case if he didn't let me know. The only other thing I see Olga's here, and I have Mindy's in Colorado, so we haven't done anything till she comes back. I'm sure she'll have a few things to add. Okay. Down at Garrison's Pond, I mean, I've lived there most of my life. About 40 years ago, the swans came. And when they first came, there was no doubt that there were snapping turtles taking out the young ones. So our former chief of police, Bob Bailey, a legend in this community, along with a guy named Chuck Hoggart and former highway superintendent Tony Servideo, got rid of most of the snapping turtles so the swans could survive. Things have changed since then. And the reason I bring this up is last year the swans hatched a month early, giving the cygnets a chance to survive better because they're bigger earlier in the year. They don't fall prey to smallmouth bass, which they can when they're very little. Last September, they had the ability to fly, which normally they can't fly till October. They left for a month, which I've never seen before, and then they came back in October. And the reason I'm bringing this up is you've heard me talk before about Japanese knotweed or whatever the invasive bamboo is down there. I've heard my terminologies wrong sometimes. The shoreline's getting choked. These animals are not agile on land and they can't navigate through that. And I can tell you from my game cam and other people that have them that there are coyotes and foxes running around that lake at nighttime. So about a month ago, anecdotally, there was somebody that saw the swans walking after a storm down Drew Road. They came back and now they are gone. And so it is my belief that they were not taken. I don't think there's no evidence of them out on the lake because I've looked in my boat and with my drone. They are down at what I believe is now at Oona Island. I've been down there. There's 4 little ones and the parents. You get to kind of know what they look like. I think they walked down to the river and they're staying down there. And there's currently about 30 geese occupying that pond. The swan made it his mission in life, 24/7, to chase a goose he was never going to catch. But eventually they left. So I don't know what's happening. I'm not saying we should hire a consultant. Something's going on with that lake. And I think the knotweed choking the shoreline has something to do with it. Don't know if we want to ask somebody knowledgeable, a biologist or something like that, but the swans being gone are of great concern to me because they've been there for 40 years and they're not there. And the young ones can't fly, so I know they walk down to the river. They've done that before. Just want to make those observations on Garrison's Pond.
That was very interesting. Thank you. Very interesting. saw Mary Jane writing very feverishly. Councilman King?
Now that the Discovery Channel's over, but yeah. Thank you, man. That was very, very enlightening, seriously.
Thank you.
Just a few notes. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. First, the police department. I want to say that, I think the police department continues to do an outstanding job at keeping the community safe. But I think, in particular, we are fortunate to have the chief and the deputy chief that we have. They are very committed to this community, and they are very professional at deporting their responsibilities. So I just want to thank you and salute you for what you do every single day. And that goes for the entire force, actually. And that leads to an event coming up in the next month or so called National Night Out. And I'm not going to steal Chief's thunder. He's going to talk about this in detail. All I want to say is, if you're at home listening, if you're here in the audience, please support this event. It's a very, very important event across the nation, and it's important to our community. And given what we all experienced in person or on TV last year, and by way of unrest, these are the type of things that help the community become cohesive and us to develop respect for our law enforcement officers. So keep in mind that it's coming soon, and just make that a priority, hopefully, for yourself and your family. Secondly, and oh, by the way, you'll have 3 opportunities to really get out there. West Point is going to do it, Highland Falls is going to do it, and then there'll be something in Fort Montgomery that Chief is going to talk about. Emergency management. We're still in this fight against COVID, whether you know it or not. And so I just want to remind the community, don't let your guard down. We still have people who are hospitalized. We still have people who are intubated. Right now, if you're not aware, we are creeping a little ways up. We were under 1% in the state of New York. We're now around 2% or more. And so I don't say that to scare you and alarm you. I just want us to be aware. And so then we can take the precautions, like continue when necessary to wear a mask or social distance, when necessary. If you're walking in the middle of nowhere by yourself, it probably is not necessary to have a mask on, right? So, but when you come in, like today, I was down in New York City for a VA hospital appointment. I donned my mask. I hadn't had it on in probably months, but just because I was in close proximity with so many people, I decided that I'll take this precaution. I got elderly parents at home. Likewise, you should get vaccinated if you hadn't done so already. We had about 69% in the state of New York with adults, 1 vaccine or more. We could be better. So I encourage you to get vaccinated. And then, of course, wash your hands frequently, all right? If you're not like me, I'm keeping hand sanitizer on me at all times, all right? So those are the type of things that really can make life easy for you, because catching COVID probably is not going to be easy. Moving right along, Recreation Director. We know that our Recreation Department does phenomenal things consistently, and our Recreation Director right now is down for health reasons. I just want to send a shout out to Aaron Falk and let him know he's in our thoughts and prayers, and to continue to get better so he can get back to where he wants to be, and that's in his office. Veterans. So I don't normally highlight veterans, although the supervisor has dubbed me as the veteran guru. We have an event coming up this week that I'm not sure you all are aware of. And be honest with you, I just became aware that it was a thing a couple months ago. July 28th is the National Buffalo Soldiers Day. So Buffalo Soldiers, for those who don't know or have forgotten, are primarily those soldiers that were organized and activated in 1866, all African Americans of the 9th and 10th Cavalry, the 24th and the 25th Infantry. And oh, by the way, later in history, we've had a detachment of Buffalo Soldiers right here at West Point, New York. Cavalry soldiers training the cadets in military tactics on horseback. Well, there is such a thing, National Buffalo Soldiers Day. It is this Wednesday, July 28th. Now, unfortunately, I didn't think to recommend to the board that we do something in person here this year, but I have decided to go forward with a Zoom observance. So I'll get that information to Mary Jane so she can put it out, and that way anybody who wants to participate in a virtual observance, I have a slide deck prepared because I'm the guest speaker for Pfizer this year for their Buffalo Soldiers Day. That's how I found out about this thing. They invited me to speak. I thought it was just they doing a nice thing. I researched and found out it's an actual observance nationally. Okay? So my apologies for not getting that to you earlier. Senior residents, I think the center continues to do great things by way of our seniors. They are fully loaded with trips coming up safely and having other activities at the center. So I just want to commend them. Continue to do what you're doing. I think those kinds of things have really enhanced the quality of life of our senior residents. That's all I have, Supervisor.
Thank you, sir. Richard? No report.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and hope everyone is doing well. As Richie Sullivan indicated a couple of minutes ago, we do have another new business in the community. Since we last met, actually two. Alan Bazil Law Offices on Main Street in Highland Falls opened up about a week or two ago, and the Dunkin' Donuts in Fort Montgomery, although they have been open for a while, had a grand opening this past Friday. And supervisor was there, our two chiefs were. It was a very nice event. So congratulations to those two new businesses. We're really starting to pick up some steam here locally. And yeah, Nana's, I had announced Nana's before, but I was reminded of that also from the audience, and Nana's Chicken, again, congratulations to them. Love their chicken, so give it a try. And the Avenue on Mountain Avenue, yes, they haven't had a grand opening ceremony yet, but I think that's in the works, and I believe the Chamber of Commerce is working on that and everything too. So these are the ones that have had grand openings that we've had an opportunity to participate in and congratulate them with. Regarding the ambulance corps, that the power system that we've been talking about for a while, that the town funded, that has been received, installed, and things are looking good as far as it is concerned. I had mentioned at our last meeting that the local Rotary Club, the Highland Falls West Point Rotary Club, has donated some funds to cover the installation of that, to the tune of about $3,000. There will be a little ceremony that we're going to set up here in the next couple of weeks, and I'll be sure and let all the board members know about that too, to sort of have a check handing type of thing to the ambulance corps. Supervisor mentioned already the continued need for drivers for the ambulance corps, so please consider that very, very good community service. Talk to Jeff. Jeff Gathers, our ambulance corps captain. Certainly you can reach out to me or any of us on the board if you are interested in doing that. Would certainly encourage people to do that. National Night Out, I'd like to just again echo Ty's comments about that. The chief and deputy chief have been doing some really good work to get that out. Purpose of National Night Out is to get to know your local police. So a great opportunity to be able to do that. And again, I think Chief Perry is going to be talking about that here in a couple of minutes. Also, just for the board, we have, and we'll do this a little bit later in the meeting, but we do have a replacement for the part-time EMT who resigned. We did that last meeting a couple weeks ago. So Jeff has been working hard with Kelly. The individual's been identified as someone who was on the civil service list. And as we had talked about before, he was the only one on the civil service list, getting to the whole issue of problems finding EMTs. But we will be talking about him a little bit later on in new business. As far as liaison to West Point, if you had not heard the public health emergency on post that was declared in the early days of the COVID pandemic, that was lifted on July 17th. You'll see that the visitor center is opening up and receiving visitors. There is still some restrictions on post that will probably be going through at least the summertime, but they seem to be, from what I'm hearing and being told, they're on a path to having things pretty much back to normal for the academic year when that starts out. The West Point is also talking with Orange County, the emergency 911 system, to move to their system also, which is, again, as we all know, similar to what the town of Highlands is using. And they are well on their way to a 10-year infrastructure upgrade, measured in the hundreds of millions, if not over $1 billion of effort going on post over the next 10 years. If you go on post heading towards the academic area, you'll see that there is a lot of work that's going on there. It's going to be a new academic building and a parking deck that they're going to be putting there. Reason I mention that is because there's a lot of construction going on, and there is, again, a 10-year plan of tremendous opportunity for us locally in terms of employment opportunities, in terms of business opportunities, in terms of a lot of things that they're going to be building out, and we should be working aggressively to capture that. I attended the Highland Falls Village Board meeting last week. Of course, their board meetings, just like our board meetings, are videotaped and on YouTube for you to view. A lot of different things were discussed. The one that's probably on a lot of people's mind is the voter-initiated petition to bring to a vote whether or not Highland Falls will be dissolved. That is, I should correct my statement there, whether or not the government of Highland Falls should be dissolved. This is all based on state law. I think a lot of us are getting very familiar and starting to get very familiar with state law. I've got a copy of it right here. You can go online, you can read it. The process is very prescribed. It's not anything subject to a lot of interpretation in terms of exactly what the process is. This is the New York Government Reorganization and Citizen Empowerment Act. It became effective back in 2010. And in particular, it is Article 17A, Consolidation and Dissolution of Local Government. I know one thing that I have heard a lot since I've lived in the community, moved here back in 2014. There's a lot of things about consolidation, dissolution, all kinds of different things going on. A lot of studies have been happening. I found out today there was one that was a result of a blue ribbon panel that took place back in the 1980s, I believe, talking about all this. So there's been a lot of talk, and now it appears as if this is going to be brought to a vote. And so a lot of discussion at the village board about this, bringing on board a consultant to try to put together some information. The vote itself is going to be sometime this fall. Village board will be setting a date for the referendum vote, I believe in early August. August 9th, I believe, is what they were saying. So a lot more to follow with that. And a lot of activity, especially for our residents in Highland Falls. But of course, Highland Falls being part of the town of Highlands, it will be of interest to all residents of the town of Highlands. And I think that's it for me tonight.
Thank you, sir. Our Recreation Director, Aaron Falk, is, I went to visit him today because I think it was about time. He's 3 or 4 days out of the hospital. If you read his post on Facebook, he's in a lot of pain, and I think he's got a bunch of staples. I think he said 17 or something like that staples. So it was a 4-hour operation. I don't know how much of this I'm supposed to talk about, but I don't really care. He's a friend of us all. He's in a lot of pain. He's doing well. He's in bed, and he'll be back on the job ASAP. And I found out from his wife that the actual day he got out of the hospital, there was some kind of you may know, a bus problem. I don't know, mix-up in buses. And he was talking to somebody on the phone, and she got very upset that he was talking to somebody from his bed. Aaron is doing what he can for us, and I'm sure he'll be back shortly. Councilman King brought up vaccinations. I find it to be very sad that there are people that just don't want to take the shot. 97% of the people that are hospitalized with the D variant have not taken the shot. 97%. I mean, how much more do you need to realize that the shot is doing good? I can't even talk my granddaughter into it, so I don't know why I'm talking to the audience here, but you got to get the shot. You just got to. I see in the city they're getting pretty serious about it. If you work for the city, you don't have to get the shot, but you don't have to go to work either. And if you don't go to work, you're not getting paid. So I think he's pretty serious about it. I know the unions are going to come down on him, but at least he's trying. He's trying to do what he should be doing as the mayor of New York City. Chief, what do you have for us?
First, I want to thank you for your time tonight. We did have some great candidates come in. We have a couple more coming in to fill the ranks of those who've retired. I think the main purpose tonight is to talk a little bit about National Night Out. In the past, we've always visited the National Night Out up the street. When we wrote our police reform plan, we said that we would take a bigger part. This year, we decided that we would do our own for our own community. We're not in competition, it's nationwide. Ours will run from 6 to 8 in Brooks Park. And what we did was we kind of stretched it a little. Besides having interaction with the police, we reach out to a lot of our community partners and a lot of our county partners. So I know I spoke to Mr. Sullivan about the Green Committee coming down, putting a presentation on. We've talked to Orange County Stop DWI. We've talked to the Youth Bureau. We talked to Emergency Management. Deputy Chief Basile spoke to Dunkin' Donuts. The ambulance corps is going to split their crew. Fort Montgomery Fire Department's coming. So it's not just for children. So we're going to have some interactive games, and you could throw a ball or play a little basketball with the police. But for people in the community, there is a lot of programs in the county that might be appealing to you. So let's just say, for instance, you're not too sure about the Orange County Youth Bureau. We'll have information or a representative there. So we'll have plenty of tables of information out there. We will have food, refreshments, some music, and we'll raffle off a bicycle at the end of the night, courtesy of the Town of Highlands PBA. The only thing is you have to be present to win and within our patrol area, so that would be Fort Montgomery, Highland Falls. So we hope that you bring your children by for that. Other than that, we're looking forward to our first one. Like I said, it was written into our police reform plan, so anything that we said that we wanted to do, starting off, we're going to do. And again, we're stretching out, just not for kids, it's for adults as well. So it might be some literature there you're not too sure of, or maybe there's an organization in the county that you might want to reach out to, myself or the deputy chief or somebody from the county, we'll be able to help you out as well. So we look forward to it. It's August 3rd, Brooks Park, 6 to 8 p.m. And hopefully it doesn't rain. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome, sir.
Anybody on the board have any questions, or anyone else any questions for the chief on the night out? Okay. Justin, do you have anything for us?
Just the local law.
Okay. Jeff, do you have anything for us?
Just, we'd like to hire, and I'm sure that Jim spoke about it, the new candidate.
Yeah, do me a favor. How about coming up to the microphone and tell us, first thing you can do is pronounce his name, and then you can tell us about
Tahir
it.
Ale.
Tahila Ale.
Yeah, Tahir.
Tahir Ale, okay.
So we interviewed him, and we'd like to hire him, with the board's approval. And it'll fill the gap that we lost with the resignation of the other EMT.
The only question I would have, and I have his resume here, he seems to be working quite a few different places. Is he going to have time for us?
There's a couple of them that he's not working anymore. That's just the background history of where he has worked, so,
Okay, well, a couple of these say present.
yeah.
EMT for Blooming Grove Ambulance Corps,
That's
present.
volunteer. He volunteers there and at Cornwall.
Oh, okay. So you recommend
Yes.
the board hiring
Yeah.
him? All right.
Also, just a notice, Jim brought up the power lift. We're going to have an in-service training Thursday night. The ambulance came back in 2 days. MagPros are great. They're great guys. They did a fantastic job, and Bryson will be down to train everybody on the usage of the power lift.
You're going to have that Thursday night? the
Thursday
training?
night at 6 p.m.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Would anyone like to make a motion to hire Tahir Alai as an EMT with the, according to the salary schedule and with the 1-year probation?
And as part-time. And as part-time.
As part-time, yes.
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good. So we got that replacement done. We've got more police officers coming in, and that'll bring us up to our limit?
4 will bring us up to a limit. We're going to interview 3, hire 3.
Okay. With that, I'd like the general public to know that this town board and this town supervisor take the dissolution of the village very, very seriously. We try to answer all the questions that we can that come from people in the village and people outside of the village. And trust me, the people outside of the village are just as interested in this as the people that live in the village. Again, I'll repeat myself that we take it very serious. Our police department has a limit to how many people we can hire right now, but should it go through, we'll be looking forward to hiring more. The other departments, there should be no problem, but I shouldn't say there should be, there will be no problem. Should the village dissolve, the town is absolutely ready to take it over, but not just you dissolve today and we're taking it over tomorrow. We have a lot of meetings to go through. We have a lot of time. I think we have something like 6 months to get from the village people voting and approving the dissolution. Then from that point, we start meeting with the village, with the town, and public hearings. All ideas are going to be explored, and then a plan will be put in place. Once that plan is put in place, the village people, again, we have to go to the village people, will have an option to say, no, I don't like that plan, I want a petition to bring it to a vote. If it comes to a vote and it's approved, that is the plan. If there are no petitions disapproving of it, that is the plan. And Jim, am I saying anything that is contrary to what you've said?
Yeah, no. And again, I would encourage everyone to look at that New York state law. And if you're not sure or you didn't pick up on what I was talking about, certainly contact me. I can send you a link to all that. But that is sort of the guidebook by state law as to what needs to be done. And nice thing in it too, it defines the various terms too, because I've heard in conversation over the years, consolidation, dissolution, are they the same? Are they not? Well, they're two totally different things. And this is what is the path that is on right now is dissolution of the village government. And so those terms are defined. It's very informative. I would encourage people who to look at that.
Anyone else on the board want
One
to
thing
speak?
I'll add, more Discovery Channel for Ty here, is the country was founded by a couple of surveyors, and in 1802, Thomas Jefferson saw the need to change surveying the way it was done in the original 13 colonies. So if you go to the 38 states that are part of the Public Land Survey, a town is 6 miles this way by 6 miles this way. A geographic shape is what it is, with no function other than to break it up into pieces like that. I heard it mentioned in a meeting recently, they talked about 2 square miles. The town of Highlands is 31 square miles, not quite 36 square miles like out west. And back in 1873, I believe it was, this town, Woodbury, and Cornwall were all the same. If you read the minutes from back then, they get tired of riding a horseback overnight to go to a meeting in Cornwall, so they broke it up. In 1906, the village of Highland Falls formed after the town formed. I don't think they did that because they were dummies. Back in the day, you're coming through with your wagon, your wheel brakes, you need a carpenter, you need a blacksmith, they have to have water, they have to have resources, so these things formed. Equally unique to this is this village has more people in it than the town outside the village. I don't think you'll find that anywhere else in this area. So over the years, the village of Highland Falls has had, I say this very politely, an inordinate amount of influence over the town around it. I would just ask everybody to think carefully as they go through this process. No more discovery.
That was a good one, actually.
Thank you. Okay, we have a resolution. Justin,
Sure.
you want to do the
Sure.
resolution and introduce the public hearing? And by the way, the towing law as written, as we will try to enact, I brought a copy to one of the tow operators.
Okay.
And Leslie, if you would send a copy to the, I brought it down to Mike Bosch, if you would bring it to, or mail it to the other tow operator. I'm sure you guys have the address from his license. You're on.
Certainly. So technically, all you have to do tonight is introduce a resolution which will schedule a public hearing to receive comments on the local law, which amends your towing ordinance. You've had a towing ordinance for years. It's gone through several amendments over the years. The chief, probably the deputy chief, and some of you all on the board have thought that it should be modernized a little further, streamlined, make sure you're obtaining the proper information for anyone doing towing within your town, timeframes, reasonable insurance, reasonable rates, and some of the standards related to that. So the chief had several recommendations. I believe they were made to the entire board. I worked from those recommendations to draft the law. All local laws are subject to public hearing requirements, should the public have any comments or concerns. And so the resolution before you introduces that local law draft. It's local law number 2 of 2021. And it would schedule the public hearing for August 9th at 7 o'clock.
Ask for a motion to move the resolution.
Motion.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Parrott?
Aye.
Councilmember Butler?
Aye.
Supervisor Lipson?
Aye. Okay. In the past, we've had as many as 3 or 4 towing companies on a towing list here in the town of Highlands. Recently, we've just had 1 person on the list. Now there was another company from just over the border in Rockland County that applied for a license. So this kind of brought about a reason to look at our towing regulation and to make sure it was written properly and right. A towing regulation for people that don't completely understand what we're doing is if you should happen to break down on the road and a tow company from another town happens to drive by and say, hey, you need a tow? Oh, yeah, I need a tow. So they tow you to their garage in Timbuktu and charge you $600 for the tow. This will prevent that. We have 2 authorized tow companies, and that's where we'll go. The rules and regulations, they're aware of it. The police department is aware of it. And what I wasn't 100% aware of, this is for the town outside the village. The village has their own tow list, tow companies. So,
That's correct.
so
And one of
everybody
the,
understands.
right, so all references, in your older ordinance, there was reference to the village, and should they have the same law and use the same companies, there'd be cooperation, and that's a very cumbersome sort of procedure. So that was one of the recommendations of the chief, that those references be removed, and they have been. It doesn't limit it necessarily to 2, although that's the talk, but it gives the board the discretion to make a reasonable limitation. Again, you don't want to have to amend the code should you have a good reason to add a third or fourth company at some point, right? So this gives the board the discretion to set a reasonable limit on the amount of companies.
And who knows, in a few months down the road, this may be for the entire town.
That's correct.
All right. General public comment, anything? Anybody? Nobody?
Olga.
Olga.
Well, please, come on up to the microphone, Olga.
I just wanted to give a quick update on community choice aggregation, in case you've forgotten what we're doing.
How could we forget?
Well, Mindy is out in Colorado, but she's still keeping the ball rolling. And I think we reported last time that we've solicited input from the potential administrators. We've gotten a full set of responses back from one. The other is due this week, and we're going to make sure that they respond before the end of the week. And we feel confident that we will have a recommendation for the board at the next board meeting
Great, very good.
for the choice of the administrator.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Kelly, the young lady next to you, I don't think I know her.
I'm Jennifer Gargiulo. How are you?
That's who I thought you were, but no, I don't know you. I've never met you.
I'm from...
Okay, you have anything for us?
I don't. I am Jennifer Gargiulo. As you all do probably know that I am on the docket as candidate for legislation for the 14th district.
Nice shirt.
Thank you. It's all about love, right?
It doesn't say Av, right?
I was just love.
Love.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, from this angle, I thought maybe you're advertising for the Av Deli.
Oh, yes, I am.
I think you have, yes.
I have
Yes.
one announcement.
Yes.
One announcement that about vaccinations, actually, that this Thursday, July 29th, the Highland Falls Intermediate School from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. is going to be having a vaccination clinic. Verizon's going to be doing that. And you can go to the school district's website in order to register for that. Again, that website is www.hffmcsd.org. And so, vaccination clinic, anyone 12 and older, at the Highland Falls Intermediate School this Thursday, July 29th, from 3 to 5:30 p.m.
Question, if you don't register, you think you might be able to walk in and get a vaccination?
They should look
I-
at the school district website. The information might be there.
Yeah.
Because if they don't get it, if they have X amount of stuff and they don't get enough registrations, they would seem to me that you could walk
Would
in.
want to use it. You would think so.
Yeah,
But they'd rather have a registration, yes.
probably. The website might tell you that.
Okay.
Yep.
Anybody else? Anything else? Anyone?
Yes, I had a couple
Yes,
things.
sir.
So, to piggyback off what my colleague said about the vaccines, it just triggered, I have these flashbacks periodically. And so, when we start talking about these preventive measures, I just think back to my time in service where I remember being in Somalia and a whole entire marine company got malaria. And the reason they got malaria is because their commander made them sleep outside without a mosquito net. So malaria was preventable if they took the proper measures. Then there's other times where I've seen an entire unit get the flu or some sort of respiratory, like bronchitis. It's a big deal. So, but these things, so how do we mitigate that? We spread people out, we got people away from each other, and so forth and so on. So this stuff that we're talking about right now, and it's not new. I was doing my research about the Buffalo Soldiers. I read that maybe 30 to 50% of some, you're the historian, but some military units died from disease, not from bullets. So people, it's really a no-brainer. If you got an opportunity to get the vaccine, if you got an opportunity to put these other preventive measures in place, I just implore you to do it. Thank you for that reminder, Jim. And the last thing I wanted to ask, Jim, if you knew if there would be, when you were talking about the businesses, congratulations to all the new businesses. Keep more coming. But I just thought back in Fort Bliss, Texas, how they took us as senior leaders out to the community to meet some of these businesses. Then we turned around and go back and tell our soldiers they got some good businesses in El Paso. I'm wondering if we got any kind of liaison kind of stuff going with West Point to get them over here, because I don't know if they're being at the ribbon cuttings or not. But I know you probably got this coming already.
Well, yeah. The short answer is yes. The longer answer is working that in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce. And the West Point community is certainly encompassed within our local Town of Highlands Chamber of Commerce. So I'm going to allow that to sort of play out before I get
So
involved.
Chamber, if you're listening, invite the senior leaders of West Point over to these businesses, because where there's leaders, there'll be soldiers later.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all I got.
That's all I got. There is one other thing. I think June Patterson sent out a note to everyone recommending someone for Assemblyman Schmidt's.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, is everybody okay with
Oh,
her
yeah.
Well,
suggestion?
here's my question about that. Certainly, the young man's name that was mentioned is phenomenal. But it was interesting to me that that didn't come to a board member or the supervisor, number one. Number two, who was here before that young man got here, and what were they doing? Because although he's phenomenal, there had to have been some other candidates that's been here and that were also phenomenal before he got here.
Okay.
That's just my 2 cents.
And it was given, actually it was sent to her, but given to me. And it was like 3 or 4 days ahead of time. I mean, you tell me you want something on the 22nd, I think it was, and you give it to me on the 19th. I didn't get to it. And so I think June took the, what's the saying?
Expedient method.
Well, yeah, so.
She couldn't lose with that name, that's
Yeah.
for sure. But I'm just concerned about those folks who've been here for a long time.
But there is someone else I would have recommended, but I just didn't get to it, so,
No problem.
yeah.
If it's already submitted, then I'm not gonna
I
argue.
don't know if it's been submitted.
No.
I'll double check.
People want to circulate emails with ideas, I don't think it's too late for that, but
Leslie, if June didn't submit that to Assemblyman Schmidt, let me know tomorrow morning. Okay?
And you'll let the rest of us know?
Pardon me?
Because that's out for comment, actually. That's out for comment, that
Yeah.
recommendation. So if it hasn't been submitted yet, let us know. If you could let us know. Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
That's all I have.
A motion to adjourn?
Motion?
seconds?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried.
Leslie, I'll see you before I go to give you the executive